MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 250 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. It's Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. I'm Allison Gill.
Hey, G, happy 250 day.
Happy 250 to you.
And it's Harry Dunn here. Today, 2 US prosecutors were put on administrative leave after describing January 6th as a riot in the sentencing memo of the Taylor Taranto, and DC cops admit under oath that they were instructed to leave the shooting of an unarmed black man in DC out of one of their incident reports.
Yeah, this is what happens when you pair up the military with local cops.
Yep.
And a woman was hit by an ICE vehicle and then dragged out of her car for no reason in Chicago. We'll talk about that. Plus, no Rudy news, but we have an update on Dr. Phil, who's been ordered to liquidate his assets. That's a good feeling there. And it's, as we record this, Monday, November 3rd, the trial of Sandwich Guy is underway.
Yes.
DC.
Oh, my gosh. Allison, I bust out laughing when we talked about that offline. So funny.
Oh, man, we'll get to it, but it's just, we'll talk about it. We'll save it for the end. First, before we get into everything, I want to thank some Hall of Fame patrons. These are people who've signed up at the $10 or more level. So you guys make this show possible, along with all of our other patrons. Dr. David, the future is not looking bright. Tricycular manslaughter. Kimberly D. Stephen. Jens, Eilstrup Rasmussen. Greg Robin Smith, a.k.a. Benjamin Franklin Live. Je suis fatigue. And Joey Merck with Fran Reichenbach. And we have a couple of new patrons as well. Marion Apple, Deb Penderson, and Mickey. Thank you so much for signing up to become a patron. And thanks to everybody who was there on Halloween Friday night with us.
That was
for
fun.
Our happy hour, our spooky happy hour Q&A. There were so many great costumes. One of the people raised their hands. They were dressed as a cat. And when they asked their question, they just meowed at us. It was fantastic.
That was kind of funny and creepy, but funny.
It reminded me of the lawyer cat where he's like, Your Honor, I'm not a cat.
That was so funny. I'm not a cat. I'm not a cat.
It was so great. If you want to sign up to be a patron, you want to get these episodes early and ad-free, and you want to join us on those monthly Zoom happy hour calls. Andy McCabe was there too, so he was able to answer some questions. You can always join us by going to patreon.com/aisle45pod, AISLE 45POD. All right, our first story comes from the Post. The Justice Department has placed 2 federal prosecutors in D.C. on leave a day after they filed a document in court that referred to the January 6th attack on the Capitol as a riot carried out by a mob. Apparently, the Trump administration didn't like that description. Assistant U.S. Attorneys Carlos Valdivia and Samuel White were told they were being suspended just hours after they submitted a sentencing recommendation in the case against Taylor Taranto. That's the Washington state guy accused of participating in the Capitol attack who was facing sentencing for unrelated weapons charges. He put a bunch of guns and ammo in his van and went down to Obama's house.
Yeah, it remains unclear what specifically in the sentencing memo prompted the decision to place Valdivia and White on leave, but the suspensions are the latest disciplinary actions meted out to prosecutors in cases tied to the riot. In addition to referring to the attack as one carried out by thousands of people comprising a mob, the document noted that Taranto had showed up armed outside the former President Barack Obama's D.C. home in 2023 after Donald Trump posted the address to social media.
Yeah, the Trump administration didn't like it too much that this sentencing memo mentioned that Trump doxed Obama. Though Valdivia, I think it is, and White were the primary signatories to the sentencing memo, the document also bore the names of their boss, Trump appointed U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, which is standard in court filings out of her office. And by Wednesday afternoon, the filing had been removed from the docket and replaced by a new sentencing memo. All references to January 6th, Trump's social media post doxing Obama, Valdivia or White had been removed. The replacement filing was signed by 2 new prosecutors, Jonathan R. Hornock, the head of the criminal division in the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office.
What a shame, man. The suspension of Valdivia and White comes as Trump and his allies have sought to rewrite the narrative of the Capitol attack, Donald Trump in one of his first executive orders in the return to the White House in January pardoned, as you all remember, hundreds of people who had been convicted of playing a role in the riot and ordered the dismissal of charges against those whose cases were still pending, including Taranto.
Yeah, and since then, the Justice Department has dismissed or reassigned several of the prosecutors who led cases against those accused in the riot, particularly in the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., where Valdivia and White had worked for more than 5 years. Now, prosecutors charged Taranto, a 39-year-old married father of two, in 2023 with misdemeanors stemming from his role in the attack on the Capitol. I don't like the way that they're framing him as a 39-year-old married father of two instead of
to say, that's not nice.
Convicted insurrectionist.
Exactly.
It's like when they refer to Jeffrey Epstein as a disgraced financier, right? He's a child sex trafficker.
Sex trafficker, exactly.
Now, in court filings, they said they had entered the building with the crowd. Taranto entered the building with the crowd of Trump supporters and later tussled with Metro police officers who were trying to repel the crowds. Once forced outside, Taranto fought with other riot participants on the Capitol steps, using his cane to fend them off.
A 39-year-old with a cane. No offense to anybody that needs one, because of the way I'm walking, but the hell with that guy. All charges related to Taranto's conduct at the Capitol that day were dismissed as a result of Trump's clemency orders. By that time, however, prosecutors had charged Taranto with additional crimes stemming from a return trip he made to D.C. in June 2023. During that trip, he live-streamed himself making threats against several high-profile people and the headquarters of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, according to the arrest affidavit in his case.
I wonder why he was targeting the National Institutes of Standards and Technology. Like, maybe did his torque wrench not work right? I don't understand.
Dummies like that, he probably thought it was the Capitol. He's like, oh, look at this building.
All these buildings look the same. In their now withdrawn sentencing memo, Valdivia and White said Taranto's search for those tunnels to Obama's house began after Trump posted what he said was Obama's home address on social media. When Secret Service agents noticed Taranto in a wooded area nearby, he ran away. Investigators later found 2 firearms and several rounds of ammunition in his van. Now, the judge, he did make it to a sentencing hearing. The DOJ, in the original sentencing memo, wanted 27 months. And I think they left that the same in the redacted one or the changed one, the whitewashed one. But the judge sentenced him to 21 months in prison, which amounts to time served because he's been in prison for longer than that. And so he's out. He'll be out, but he'll be on 36 months supervised release. So that's what's going on with this guy.
Just like a continuation, AT, of attempted whitewashing and just erasing what happened on January 6th. But unfortunately for Donald Trump and the people that seek to do that, every single American watched with their own eyes. Not even just Americans worldwide watched what happened that day. And it's just a continuing attack on, the truth, which Donald Trump doesn't know anything about.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The clemency for January 6th insurrectionists, the pardons and stuff, is coming up a lot in a lot of court cases where the Department of Homeland Security and Trump's DOJ are trying to indict people for assault, like Sandwich Guy, or saying that Representative LaMonica McIver assaulted ICE agents outside of the ICE facility in New Jersey when she didn't. Sidney Reed. I mean, there's a ton of them that have brought up the fact that in particular, like I'm thinking of LaMonica McIver, she's filed a motion to dismiss the charges against her for vindictive and selective prosecution. And part of proving that you've been selectively prosecuted is showing that there are other people similarly situated to you that have not been charged. And she brought up the fact that everybody who attacked police officers on January 6th, actually assaulted police officers, have been pardoned or have had their charges dropped when they were pending trial. And so this clemency for January 6th rioters is coming up in a lot of cases where the government is now trying to prove that people have assaulted police officers. And also, Sandwich Guy brought that up in his motion as well. So I don't think that motion for Sandwich Guy actually went through. I don't think they dismissed the misdemeanor charge against him because they started jury selection today, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Also, AG, before you move on, did you notice? I don't know if in this case that we just talked about, the judge who oversaw that case is a Trump appointee, Carl Nichols, and he said at the sentencing hearing that White and Valdiva were amongst, quote, the best attorneys who have appeared before me. In my view, both Mr. Valdiva and Mr. White did a truly excellent job in this case. And they said, they noted that Valdiva and White were both in the courtroom as spectators, but obviously didn't have any statements to make.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would have made some statements, but I also would make a very bad Justice Department lawyer.
I was just about to say, wait. We know you would, AG.
I'd have some stuff to say if I were them. But yeah, you're right. The Trump-appointed judge, Carl Nichols, praised both of the prosecutors who have now been put on administrative leave for their work. They're really, really good work.
Good attorneys.
But this also sends a message to anyone else who's thinking of mentioning January 6th ever again.
Right.
We talked about this on the bonus episode this past weekend, Harry, that the idea here is kind of like what Trump did with the Russia stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure continues to do. He took it out of all the reports. He wouldn't let the cybersecurity unit or Department of Homeland Security report about the threats that Russia posed to Congress in their threat reports about possible interference in elections. And so everyone kind of learned after a while, after a bunch of people were fired, never to mention Russia. Just don't put it in reports. Don't put it in the president's daily brief. Don't put it in threat assessment reports to Congress.
Yep.
Just stop talking about it. And, by these two prosecutors for simply mentioning that Taylor Taranto participated in January 6th, calling it a riot and saying it was saying it was that was a mob.
Lands them suspended.
That no one else is going to want to talk about January 6th in any filings anymore. Yeah. It's going to put the kibosh on that. That's the whole point, is to chill that kind of truth from getting out. But they can't chill us, and so we're going to keep talking about it.
I was there. We saw the whole thing. And we'll never stop.
Definitely saw it.
And we'll never stop talking about it or pushing back when they continue to lie about it. So,
yeah, agreed. All right, we've got more to get to, but we have to take a quick break. Everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. All right, our next story comes from the Associated Press. And Allison, you covered this on the Breakdown Sunday on the Midas Touch Network. A federal agent fired shots at an unarmed black man during a recent traffic stop while patrolling the nation's capital for Donald Trump's law enforcement surge. But a police report, however, about the encounter doesn't mention the shooting at all, an omission that the man's attorneys point to as evidence of a cover-up.
Yeah, it's a blatant cover-up, right? Metropolitan Police Department, who you've worked closely with, Harry, is investigating the shooting by a Homeland Security investigations agent. That's Department of Homeland Security, HSI, who was with the officers and other federal agents when they stopped a car driven by Philip Brown on October 17th. He's 33. He's from Hyattsville, Maryland. He was not injured in the shooting. Miraculously, all 7 shots missed him. He was jailed for 3 days on a charge that he fled from law enforcement. But a judge has already dismissed the case.
Yeah, it's shaky. Brown's lawyers claim the police department tried to cover up the shooting by leaving it out of the police report and refusing to provide them with video from police body cameras. At a court hearing for Brown's criminal case, a police officer testified that he was instructed not to include the shooting in the police report, according to civil rights attorney Bernadette Armand and E. Page White. They said the police also failed to disclose the shooting to a prosecutor assigned to the case. Real shaky stuff going on.
When the cop was under oath, and the cop who said, my superior officer told me not to put it in the report, and when he testified that he didn't tell the prosecutors assigned to the case about the shooting, he said, when asked why, he said, I was tired. That's what he said. Now, the judge who dismissed the case against Brown ruled that there was insufficient evidence that he was fleeing, according to Brown's attorneys. The gunshots struck Brown's driver's side window and passenger seat at chest level, the lawyer said. We're lucky our client is alive. He could very well be dead. That's a quote. from one of the lawyers. Now, the officer's police report says Brown revved his sport utility vehicle's engine and began driving toward law enforcement officers before he rear-ended another vehicle. He actually, what sounds like happened is he took his foot off the brake and his car rolled forward into a car right in front of him. Not a cop car or anything. A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said the agent who fired his gun feared for his life and the lives of others when he fired defensive shots into the vehicle, saying that he was driving straight at them. But the cop who actually admitted that he didn't tell the prosecutors and that the thing was a cover up, he also said no, there were no officers in front of his car. And the lawyer said the bullets came in, you could see the bullets came in through the side of the car, not the front.
Yeah, if that's the case, why didn't you put it in the police report? Because they know it's obviously fabricated, not true. This incident is not isolated and reflects a growing and dangerous trend of vehicles being used as weapons against DHS law enforcement. This is from the DHS spokesperson, what he said in a statement. Our officers are facing 1,000% increase in assaults against them, including vehicle rammings, terrorist attacks, and even bounties for their murders. The violence must end. Armand said it is dangerous for DHS to claim that the shooting was justified when there is no mention of the shooting in the police report.
Yeah, and all of that is untrue.
Extremely.
From the DHS spokesperson. Quote, of course they're going to say it was justified. What are they going to say? We shot at an unarmed black man in his car in a routine traffic stop for no reason? They're not going to say that. They're going to say whatever they have to say to justify their actions. That's what Armand said in court. A police report that doesn't mention the shooting was filed in D.C. Superior Court for Brown's criminal case. Metropolitan Police Department spokesman Tom Lynch provided the Associated Press with a copy of a separate report for the Internal Affairs Division parallel investigation of the shooting.
An internal investigation. We're used to those. We are the agency investigating the officer-involved shooting, and we have been continuously since October 7th, Lynch said. He declined to comment on the officer's testimony about the omission of the shooting from the report on Brown's arrest. In August, Trump issued an executive order declaring a crime emergency in Washington. For nearly 3 months, the White House has deployed hundreds of federal agents and over 2,000 National Guard members to help police patrol the city's neighborhoods.
Yeah, agents from the FBI, Customs and Border Patrol, the Diplomatic Security Service, Marshal Service also were patrolling with 2 MPD officers and the HSI agents who shot at Brown. That's according to the police report. They stopped Brown for having tinted windows and no front plate on his sport utility vehicle. He had a back plate. Brown's attorneys say his traffic stop demonstrates the risky nature of patrols by federal agents who aren't adequately trained for police work.
Yeah, it's not okay to have agents and officers on the street who are engaged in shooting at unarmed people and then covering up after the fact, Armand said. There is no trust there. There's no accountability there, and there's no credibility there, end quote. A magistrate judge in the D.C. Superior Court ordered Brown's release on October 21st. He was traumatized by his arrest and experiences in jail, his lawyer said. They're weighing a possible lawsuit over his arrest. Weighing it, that shit needs to be filed yesterday. This is crazy, and it's 100 screams cover up, and those people won't learn until you start holding them accountable.
Yeah, something else that happened, Harry. The reason that the guy was in jail for 3 days in the first place is because the judge couldn't consider the shooting because the police hadn't put it in the report.
Oh, wow.
So he otherwise would have been released, but he had
to wait till his first appearance. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the judge, when they came back on Monday, was like, all right, we're dismissing all of this. This is kind of unbelievable. I'm looking forward to that lawsuit. I hope they file it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. We've got another story about ICE misbehaving, terrorizing, being thugs, masked, unmarked, and terrorizing people, just civilians. But we have to take a quick break. So stick around. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. All right. Our next story. And there's just story after story about these kinds of things. There's so many that are happening, but this one comes from the Chicago Tribune. Diane Figueroa was on her way to get coffee before heading to work. How many of us do that every day?
Mm.
When she encountered a chaotic scene in Westtown, heavily armed masked federal agents making arrests on a residential street. People yelled as vehicles honked their horns, a sign now used to alert neighbors that immigration federal agents are in the area, and witnesses said federal agents had arrested several landscaping workers, presumed to be in the country without authorization because of what their job is, which is, according to Kavanaugh, totally fine. That's why everyone's
It's
calling that a
racist as
Kavanaugh
hell.
stop. Mm-hmm. As Figueroa tried to drive through the 1600 block of West Hubbard Street on Friday, October 10th, an unmarked vehicle driven by federal agents rammed into hers as it tried to speed away from a hostile crowd. And that's from multiple videos.
Yeah, a lot of y'all.
Video evidence.
Yeah, but I'm sure a lot of people have seen the video. It's disgusting. Seconds after the crash, agents abruptly stopped their vehicle and exited with weapons in hand, pointing at Figueroa, a U.S. citizen. Agents then forcibly opened her door and pulled her out of the vehicle by her legs without identifying themselves, presenting a warrant or informing her that she was under arrest. As bystanders yelled, "You hit her! We have it on video." Agents ignored the crowd and forced Figueroa into the red minivan and drove away. This is insane.
Can you imagine
reading
driving,
that is like just reading that. That's
coffee,
like some Stephen King stuff. Like, what is happening?
Getting coffee, getting hit. You've been hit by an SUV. Then they come and drag you out by your legs. Guns
drawn.
Big guns. And then throw you in a minivan? That's horrifying.
Just despicable.
And I think what they're doing, Harry, is that if they accidentally hit someone, I think they go and try to detain them so that they can cover it up by saying, well, we thought they were an illegal alien.
Well, yeah, that's what I was wondering. As they continued to when they first struck her, they drove away, and then they finally stopped and ran back towards her. So maybe they were like, "Oh, we got to stop this. We got to get her. We got to get her."
We hit somebody.
Let's make it her fault.
Yep, that's what I think. It goes on to say the Department of Homeland Security released a statement, and every single statement they've put out has been bullshit. Okay. They claim Figueroa was at fault, saying she crashed into them and violently resisted arrest and injured 2 officers. But Figueroa was released the same day, a few hours later, without charges. So they didn't even have the people who just charge a ham sandwich, they didn't even have enough to charge her. But they claim that if she had actually rammed into a government vehicle, violently resisted arrest, and injured 2 officers, she'd be charged.
She would have. She wouldn't have been released later that day.
She wouldn't have been released at all, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. But especially not later that day, within an hour. It's still like hours.
Few hours. Now, Figueroa's arrest highlights growing concerns about the use of force against U.S. citizens and due process. Federal enforcement actions in Chicago have been increasingly drawing scrutiny amid reports of aggressive tactics and blurred lines between immigration enforcement and public safety, including incidents involving deploying tear gas in residential areas without warning, and arrest of bystanders and journalists filming or following unmarked vehicles.
Yeah. Well, DHS says its operations are being impeded and that there will be consequences for interfering with federal agents. Many individuals who are detained are released without charges. On October 9th, federal prosecutors on Thursday dismissed felony charges against an Oak Park man with intellectual disabilities accused of assaulting federal officers during a protest outside the Broadview Immigration Holding Facility. A day earlier, a federal grand jury refused to indict a Chicago couple arrested during a violent protest outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Facility in Broadview in September. And a WGN producer violently arrested by ICE in Lincoln Square on October 10th was detained for 7 hours by federal immigration authorities before being released without charges. This was according to her attorney.
Yeah, I hope they all sue.
Yeah.
Now, for hours, Diane's family couldn't locate her. Only after coming across a video online did they realize that she'd been taken by masked federal agents through a video circulating the web. They were able to ping her through her iPhone location and found that she was at the ICE processing center in Broadview. Her mother said she was shocked and desperately worried. Figueroa had kidney surgery just this past August. and she was dragged out by the legs. The way the agents pulled her out of the vehicle and threw her on the ground deeply concerned me. That's what her mother, Teresita Figueroa, told the Tribune. But what stunned the mom the most was that despite her daughter being a U.S. citizen, they couldn't locate her. She said no authorities, including the Chicago police, were able to give them clarity on why she was arrested at all.
Yeah, I'm sure the Chicago police probably didn't even know. They didn't know. They're not working in cahoots with ICE. And that's, thanks to Governor Pritzker's pushing back against them being there in the first place. But that's it's scary. It's very scary, and it's real life, and it can happen to anybody, no matter what you look like.
And that couple that they couldn't get an indictment on, where the story says they participated or they were involved in a violent protest at front of Broadview, the thing that made that protest violent was the police.
Yep.
Was ICE and Department of Homeland Security and Customs and Border Protection, led by Gregory Bovino. They're the ones who were deploying tear gas without warning against Judge Ellis's temporary restraining order, which should become a preliminary injunction pretty soon. But they're the ones creating the chaos. In my episode of The Breakdown this weekend, DHS, Harry, was caught red-handed fabricating videos. They would say that they would show a couple of people being detained and say that this happened in D.C. When it actually happened in Nantucket. They filmed some stuff going on in Florida and said it actually happened at Broadview. They filmed some stuff in Broadview, Chicago, after they threw tear gas and created chaos and filmed it like all chaotic, like violent war zone, and attributed it to Portland so that they could justify sending the National Guard there, which is still blocked.
Yeah, they are just lying. They're just lying through their teeth and just flexing. And it's scary. And you know where this comes from? This comes from the top. And Donald, I referenced this a lot, but Donald Trump said when he talked about the executive order that brought the National Guard to D.C., he said during that press conference, do whatever the hell you want to do. And he said that to law enforcement. So that kind of gives them backing. And on the 60 Minutes interview that happened Sunday night with Norah O'Donnell.
The heavily edited 60 Minutes interview?
Edited, but this part was not. Norah O'Donnell talked about the incidents in Chicago and, tear gas in residential states. And he said, Norah O'Donnell asked Donald Trump, is ICE going too far? Are they doing too much? And Donald Trump's response was, they haven't gone far enough. So this is their boss telling them, step it up. So I believe things are only going to get worse.
That's evidenced by Corey Lewandowski and Greg Bovino petitioning to fire everybody at the top of ICE and have Customs and Border Protection take over.
Yeah.
Because Trump and Miller, Stephen Miller and Greg Bovino and Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem, apparently the ICE operations, the targeted criminal ICE operations, are too woke. They like Bovino Custom Border Protection, Midway Blitz, MacArthur Park stuff.
Yeah.
They like that. And so that's what they're going with. So, if you thought ICE was bad, Customs and Border Protection is worse.
Way worse.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse, guys.
It is. So head on a swivel. Make sure you turn on your Find Your iPhone situation. So if your family needs to ping you somewhere, they can find you. And, Canada says elbows up. I say cameras out.
Cameras out.
Keep
location on.
Keep filming them.
Absolutely. Because these lawsuits, that's how you gotta sue these bastards, man.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's a lot of money, but yeah. Agreed. It makes me wish I had gone to law school so that I could represent some of these people pro bono.
Absolutely.
All right. We've got more news to get to. A little better news for you. But we have to take one last quick break, so stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And as promised, we have more news for you that, is a little bit kind of put a smile on your face a little bit. But there's no Rudy news. However, we do have an update from Fox 4. A federal bankruptcy judge on Tuesday converted Merit Street Media's Chapter 11 bankruptcy to a Chapter 7 case after arguments to either dismiss or convert the bankruptcy. Judge Scott Everett called the case an anomaly, saying it arrived in court in complete liquidation mode. Allison, what does that mean?
So basically, Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Chapter 7 liquidation, right? And the judge is like, this is so bad, it should have just gone straight to Chapter 7, liquidate your ass, your assets immediately.
I'm about to say, well, one or the other, right?
Right. Now, here's a quote. Before bankruptcy, after wresting control of the company away from TBN, Phil McGraw, Dr. Phil, decided to pull the plug on the financially distressed Merritt Street and move the business into a new company. That's what the judge said. The debtor fired nearly all its employees on the first day of the case and immediately sued Trinity. All that's left is litigation and the sale of the media library, and not much else. Television psychologist Dr. Phil McGraw launched Merritt Street Media in 2024 after ending his 2-decade run of Dr. Phil on CBS. The company filed for bankruptcy in July.
All right. So Merritt Street proceeded to fire nearly all of its employees. McGraw's production company, Patesky Productions, agreed to pay the former Merritt Street employees a month later. This is according to Fox News. McGraw launched Envoy Media, which would deliver essentially the same content as Merritt Street the day prior to filing for bankruptcy.
Yeah, so he's trying to hide his shit. I was
just about to say all of that to say he's hiding. Yeah, that's exactly.
He closed it, fired everybody, filed for bankruptcy, and then opened a new thing. Judge Everett pointed to messages sent by Dr. Phil that he was looking to get rid of Trinity Broadcasting and become the sole board member of Merritt Street in what McGraw called a gangster move. That's what he said about himself. He's like, check out this gangster shit. I'm going to close this and open this and file for bankruptcy because I'm a gangster and nobody will ever figure it out. The judge's decision also affects Professional Bull Riders Association, who signed an agreement with Merritt Street for distribution. Okay. The Professional Bull Riders Association joined Trinity Broadcasting in objecting to the bankruptcy filing, claiming Merritt Street filed for bankruptcy to avoid legal trouble from going back on a deal to air the league's programming, the bull riding. Now, PBR pulled their programming from the network after saying they were never paid. They claim Merritt Street owes them $181 million for bull riding shows. But text messages between Dr. Phil and investor Jamie Ribben appear to show Ribben giving McGraw advice on how to gain controlling interest in Merritt Street from Trinity, like a hostile takeover, because he's super gangster. So, renege on your bull riding show and then move your assets into Envoy. Oh my God.
Dr. Phil's a gangster. All right. Okay.
They're self-proclaimed.
I was just about to say, maybe a new show's coming. Again, this is Mr. Ribben giving Mr. McGraw, Dr. Phil, specific messaging points, praising TBN and Mr. Crouch's parents, and persuading TBN to do the stock swap, all while knowing that Mr. McGraw was working on the project of getting rid of TBN, Everett said. Everett said in a text exchange the night before, McGraw filed for bankruptcy. McGraw told Ribben that he intended to file a lawsuit against Trinity Broadcasting and that the bankruptcy filing would erase the claim PBR made against them and clear the distribution debt from Trinity Broadcasting.
Oh my God. So he wants to sue Trinity.
Deep. It's a lot of stuff going on here.
He wants to sue Trinity, and he owed the bull riding people $180 million. So he wanted to file bankruptcy to get rid of the debt to the bull riders.
So he could sue.
Oh my God.
It's a lot of stuff going on here. McGraw, Dr. Phil later claimed that Ribben's investment would be returned regardless of how the court ruled in the bankruptcy case. A text exchange about the agreement was later deleted from McGraw's phone and found, you can't delete it, they found it once you deleted it during discovery.
Yeah. Quote, at this point, and notwithstanding able counsel for the parties, the Chapter 11 case is a broken 3-legged stool. That's what the judge said. He says, the first leg is Dr. Phil, who deletes unfavorable text messages he doesn't want me to see, who vows to pay favored creditors no matter what the court does, and who vows to wipe out unfavored creditors, the bull riding people. The second leg of the broken stool is Mr. Broadbent, who worked for Dr. Phil's newly created company after the petition date without pushing back. and who didn't give me an honest and direct answer to direct, simple questions. And the third leg is creditors' committee, a half composed of the ribbons who enjoy a favorable payment guarantee from Dr. Phil or the debtor, no matter what the court does, and who enjoy the right under the proposed plan to supervise litigation.
Yeah,
So,
everybody in this thing seems crooked.
yeah, so the judge went straight to Chapter 7, liquidate your assets, Dr. Phil. Your deleted text messages, trying to file a bankruptcy to avoid paying the bull riders so you don't have to show their show, or you showed their show and didn't pay them on your weird network, and then trying to take over Trinity Network, and then texting someone that you're going to do it, and that makes you a gangster, and then deleting it so that the judge can't see that you think you're a gangster for cheating the court. Wow. Now, who's going to have Dr. Phil on Dr. Phil?
That's the question.
Mm.
This is crazy. This is a crazy story. And just goes
everything
to show
is just a
how
fucking
kooky
circus
he
with
is.
these guys. When we did the Mike Lindell stuff, when he didn't show up, or when Patrick Byrne, the Overstock CEO guy, didn't show up, and his only lawyer had a warrant for her arrest out. Like, it's just a circus with these fraudsters. And I had to get this Dr. Phil story out. It's going under the radar. There's a lot of other things going on, but I had to get this Dr. Phil story out because it brings me joy. Something else that brings me joy: Sandwich Guy.
Sandwich Guy.
All over the DC area, people had Sandwich Guy skeletons in their front yards. People dressed up as Sandwich Guy for Halloween. He was everywhere.
I can't confirm.
He was everywhere. And where the sandwich was thrown, there's a mural of him up there, like a memorial to his awesomeness. And, they tried to bring him in. They tried to hit him with felony charges, but felony assault requires bodily injury and bodily harm. And even if you throw somebody a meat sandwich at point blank range, you aren't going to cause bodily harm. And the reason I say that, Harry, the reason I use that verbiage is because that's what happened in court on Monday. Federal prosecutors opposed Sandwich Guy's motion to dismiss the charges against him, writing that Dunn was, quote, recorded throwing his meat sandwich at a federal officer at point blank range.
Point blank range. A meat sandwich, AG.
But throwing his meat sandwich sounds dirty.
Extremely dirty. This was an actual quote from the court. And I'm thinking I'm reading adult websites throwing meat sandwiches at people. What the heck is what a
threw
joke
his meat sandwich at point blank range. Point blank range.
A meat sandwich.
What is point blank range for a sandwich? Do you know? You're a cop.
I've never had to encounter that one. Point blank. I mean, like, it depends. Is it a foot long? Is it a 6 inch? Like, it's point blank for 6 inch. You got to step up 6 inches further. Like, what? I don't know.
And instead of gunpowder residue, it's that stuff at the bottom of the sandwich that, those poppy seeds or whatever. If you get those on you,
exactly.
We tested his hands for breadcrumbs. Oh my God. So they're selecting the jury, so they couldn't get a felony indictment because there was no bodily injury. So they actually charged him with a misdemeanor, and they're actually going to trial. Generally, when you have a simple assault like this, if somebody throws a milkshake at Matt Gaetz, for example, they just plead out and you say sorry and you pay a fine and everybody goes about their day. But Sandwich Guy, they tried to get a felony indictment, and so that he's fighting it, and they're taking him to trial on a misdemeanor. This never happens. And they're doing the jury selection today, and it's just got to be so. I wish I was there. If I were in the DMV area, I would be in that courtroom,
laughing my ass off,
trying not to laugh,
not
to get kicked out for laughing at. He threw his meat sandwich point blank
right in my face.
And I can't wait to see the transcript of the cop who got the sandwich thrown at him, the FBI guy, what his testimony is going to be like. And he's going to just, you were talking, Harry, like he's probably got a fun nickname by now. How much shit he's going to take for having to fucking testify that he had a sandwich thrown at him in court. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It's what a just a laughing stock it is. Like some police departments that do like police patches and coins. They did a challenge coin and a patch of the sandwich guy.
I have a patch you gave me.
Yeah. The sandwich guy. So funny, man.
If you see a sandwich guy patch, will you grab it for me?
Of course.
Thank you.
You already know.
Because I need a sandwich guy patch. I definitely need one for I've got a vest. I got a tactical vest that I wear when I do speak. It's in front of 100,000 people. And so I don't have any patches yet. I got your patch that you gave me. And then I need a sandwich guy patch.
We'll get you
like
one.
An official one.
We got to get you a sandwich one. We'll get one.
The Velcro ones that you can put on your tactical vest. Please.
What a joke. What a joke.
Because you got to wear those tactical vests because you could have a sandwich thrown at you.
You could have at point blank range.
And I'll wear it to when I go out to the singles bar next time, so I can avoid men throwing their meat sandwiches at me.
Bring a napkin. Make sure you got
that gif of the lady with all the hot dogs coming in her face.
But they're sandwiches now. They're sandwiches.
Hot dog's a meat sandwich, isn't it?
A hot dog is a meat sandwich, I guess. That is so funny at point blank range. What a laughing stock.
And everybody, you're going to hear me talking about the meat sandwich at point blank range on every single show and on every single podcast that I do. I'm going to talk about it on the beam. You probably heard me talk about it yesterday. I talked about it with Waj on MullerSheWrote.com Substack Live earlier before I jumped on here with you. I have been laughing at this all day, and we got to microdose hope and joy, and that phrasing from prosecutors in court. It brings me joy, as does the downfall of Dr. Phil. So we wanted to bring those stories and end this show on an up note with all of the terror and horror that's going on with ICE and the transfer to Customs and Border Protection and all of this, the Great Gatsby ball, while everybody gets their food assistance taken away. I mean, it's so much happening. And I wanted to end a little bit on an up note. So thank you for letting me do that, showing me some grace, giving me a little chance to laugh today, because I think
everybody's laughing with you too.
Yeah. Well, we will be back in your ears for the bonus episode this weekend, and keep an eye on your inbox for the end of the month happy hour. If you want to join that happy hour and ask us anything, we have sometimes Andy McCabe, sometimes Pete Strzok joins us, sometimes Dana Goldberg, Harry's there. And you can ask us questions and talk to us and hang out and have cocktails and mocktails and laugh at sandwich guy stories. The trial will be over by then. So if you want to join us, you can do so by going to patreon.com/aisle45pod, AISLE45POD. We'd love to have you. And we'll see you very soon. Do you have any final thoughts today, my friend? What does your shirt say? Tell everyone your shirt today.
So it says, what appears to be, it says, I need a hug, but all those letters are in big, bold letters. And right behind the G, it's a small E that says, I need a huge glass of bourbon. So,
I need a hug. No, huge glass of bourbon as you get closer.
But no, I hope everybody's listening to this on Wednesday. We already have brand new Democratic governor-elects in the state of New Jersey and the state of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and a brand new Democratic-elect mayor in New York City.
And 52,000 other Democrats being around the country.
Absolutely.
Big
so this is just
day.
The beginning, y'all.
And Prop 50.
And yes, well, we know with California, we talked about that. Well,
we won't be done counting. We won't be done counting.
It's too many.
I mean, unless it's a massive, unless there's no way it can be overcome by the mail-in, because we're all mail-in.
Let's hope to see that. But let's hope we are all celebrating big wins, and let's start the turnaround and keep the momentum going for 2026 when we take back the House.
Agreed, my friend. Everybody, we'll see you soon. Hang in there. And again, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. And thanks for supporting independent media. I'm Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thanks, y'all.
Cleanup on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Cleanup on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.